Hi friends, today I just wanted to hop on and give you my review of the Tooli-Art paint pens. These are acrylic pens and they come in a variety of different collections along with different thicknesses, so that depending on your project you can find the right Tooli pen for you. I purchased the Neon collection, the Glitter collection, the Essentials collection, the Pastel collection, and the Skin and Earth Tone collection. I wanted to just kind of give you a full overview of my thoughts on using them, show you kind of the process, and just tell you whether or not I think they are worth buying. If you are interested, keep watching. I ordered the Essentials collection, and those all have essentials on them. On this little red line above where you can see the color and how much is left in it. I also ordered pastels, which you can see it's a little pastel pink right above where that color is. I ordered the earth tone and skin tone set, and instead of being right here like the others, it has a band around the bottom in this orange color that says earth. I also ordered the neons, which is on yellow, and I ordered the essential double tipped markers. So these have a extra fine point, and they also have a thicker medium point. And I wanted to just kind of go through, show the coverage, show you guys a little bit of behind the scenes of my new icon sets that I'll be offering. And hopefully this will help you if you're in the market for some paint pens, or if you're looking to see how easy it is to make these snow globe shaker ornament designs. So on my desk I have my Christmas icon set and my baby icon set. And the babies, I have a bunch of different hairstyles, some with or without bows. I've got little icons that can either just be included in the shaker or that you can put like their birth stats on. So if you're doing a first Christmas ornament, you could put, 5 pounds, 6 ounces, 19 inches long, what time they were born, the different things like that on top of those. And I've also got, if you just wanted to do a Christmas theme, we've got presents, we've got little characters in different sizes, we've got Christmas trees, ornaments, and I'll also be launching a whole bunch of different icon characters very, very soon, so keep an eye on my shop for those. First impressions, I think that the Tooli-Art pens are wonderful. I do really like that they have this window on them so that you can see how much ink is left. You can also see that this one needs to be shaken because it's like some of the color wasn't totally blended in there, but it's a good way to give you like an idea of how much is left in them. You can see the color really well. I like that they are labeled specifically with which collection they're from. I do prefer the band at the bottom versus on the barrel of the marker, but either way, I think that is a helpful thing for them to have. I did also order a pack of just the white and black because I find I go through those the quickest, and they include the medium and extra fine point tips for you. Before today, I did purchase the glitter options, and while they don't have as many colors as I would have expected, like there's no true red glitter, the colors that they did include, they are quite pretty, and they do include a fine tip and a medium tip in with those. Preliminary thoughts on the skin tone bundle. They definitely skew towards more earth tones, I think, than skin tones. Like, I don't think they gave us enough deep skin tone representation here. They have quite a few colors that can be used for lighter and medium skin tones, but when it comes to the darker shades, like there really isn't a nice deep brown. There isn't a lot of variety there. I think they have a separate pack that is just skin tones, so I'd like to check that one out and see if it is a little bit more inclusive. Here's another, it's more like a mauve color. But for this one, I do think it leans heavily on like the earthy tone vibes, like those more muted southwestern art kind of colors. But they are quite pretty. I did do preliminary swatch tests. So I've got all of the neon ones here. They're not as bright as I had expected. Like this orange, this green, and this pink are pretty bright, but the rest of them just seem like bright colors. I wouldn't necessarily call them neons. The pastels are really pretty. They remind me of like an Easter mix of colors. And then this is the earth tone slash skin tone bundle. Like I said, I think that they kind of missed the boat on some of those deeper colors that could be used for skin tones, but I do think overall it is a nice assortment of colors. The icon sets that I cut out are out of 1/8 inch MDF. These are two different ones. There's the dark MDF and the light MDF, both from Craft Closet. Both are great. Both of them take the paint well, and I just had a mixture of both at the time I was cutting. So I'm going to start with this cute little holly leaf, and we're going to use the neon red and neon green. These are the medium tipped, right? Because it is MDF, it does tend to soak up paint really well, so occasionally you might have to do multiple coats, but that is just one coat. I'm going to shake these really well before you start using them. That might be a good idea. And so far it has pretty good coverage. These are also really smooth. I like the medium tips because they don't have that same point that the extra fine does, and I feel like they are a little bit smoother on wood or on MDF, but I will try it on paper as well and let you know my thoughts on that. And I am going to take the lighter green neon just to show you and put a little bit of like a highlight. And you can always have some scraps available. White paper, and I'm getting black paper as well to show you how these it shows up a lot better on the black versus the white. And then just using it for a little bit of extra detail once you really get it flowing. There we go. You can add in pops of color. So if I wanted two-tone leaves, you can see it's really flowing a lot better now that I really got it kind of primed. There, and it shows up a little bit better on the white now. Like I said, the neons take a little bit longer to get flowing. I think it just has to do with the formula and the way that the paint is created, but they really are quite bright and vibrant. I am going to go back over the red a second time, just because it seems like the paint absorbed a little bit. But it is a nice, true red. And again, we'll give it a nice, good shake. And that is the red on white versus on black. It definitely shows up better on the white for that color. I did also get the double-sided one, and this is the regular red compared to the neon red. It's just a little tiny bit deeper. There's not a huge difference in color, but there is a slight difference in those two. And then we've also got the Essentials. It's like an avocado color. It's very close to the lime green, but it is a little bit more muted. And that's something that you'll notice across the different collections. There are a lot of similar colors. They're not the same, but they are similar. So I'm gonna do one in the regular just to compare them. I'm going to take my gold and I'm going to outline these just to give it a fun little extra pop of color. And again, this is the gold from the Essentials. And you can see it really doesn't take a lot for it to show up on the MDF. It takes it really well. And with that fine point, you can get in there and get all of those detail lines. And again, if you make any mistakes, it's so easy to just clean it back up. So then we've got our two pieces of holly here. We've got our neon and our Essentials. They're not a huge difference. This one's a little bit cooler toned, but it shows the difference between the two collections pretty well, I think. The red, I think you could take it or leave it. There's not really a big difference. It just depends on if you want your greens to pop or to be a little bit more muted. So I'm just gonna put those off to the side for now. And we're gonna jump in with pastels and our earthy skin tone options. Mix in from our Essentials collection as well. So again, with these, you have to kind of be mindful that you're not like dragging huge strokes. Like you want to just brush it on with minimal pressure so that it doesn't have that overspray. And again, you can kind of just go over any score lines easily without worrying about it filling them in, because as long as you have a light hand, it shouldn't get stuck in there. Like as long as you have a deep enough score without it going through your MDF or your wood, it should be nice and indented enough that your markers aren't going to fill that in unless you like really over exert it and have a bunch of paint pour out of your marker. That's why I like scoring, because it's so easy to paint and keep yourself following those guidelines without overfilling them. And again, you can kind of see the little speckles that happen if I add too much pressure. But for the most part, these are nice and smooth. But like I mentioned with the last one, I like that you can kind of use the precise fine tips to clean up any of that overspray, and that's why I've included those outlines so that you can just color them to make nice, clean, smooth edges. And even though this is a lighter color and MDF tends to like absorb those a little bit, it is doing a pretty good job being saturated and just kind of taking the paint. It's nice and bright. It's not really streaky. The only streaks that you see is as it's drying. It's opaque enough that you don't have to worry about if you're going to use it on a dark colored material, it is going to show up. All right, and let's give this little baby some blonde hair. Yellow is one that is notoriously tricky on MDF, and I've noticed whether it's spray paint, acrylic paint, it always soaks it up. So that's one coat, and I'm going to let it dry and see how that goes. And I am going to use some pinks for the rest of the outfit. So I'm actually gonna try the neon pink and see how that compares. Yeah, this one is a little bit more opaque. That baby pink is a little bit sheer in its coverage. But these neons do a really nice job where you only need one coat to fill in. For the outline of this one, I'm going to use white, just to show you, because I know that white is one of those markers that people find really difficult to get a nice saturated, non-streaky finish. And these are my favorite white markers on the market. Alright, so here is round 2 for that little yellow ponytail. And then I'm just gonna fix the little bow. And you'll notice 2 coats of the pink on that bow, and it pops just fine. But there we have our first little baby icon ready to go. I'm just going to speed through coloring the other 2 that I decided to do, and you can see that some of the skin tones took a couple layers, but other than that, these markers are pretty opaque and do a nice job with their coverage. The black marker from Tooli is probably the most solid opaque black I've used. It's really, really good quality. Overall, I am really pleased with these markers. I think my favorites are the double tip essentials. I like having the option of a fine point, but also a thicker medium point, so that I can really cover a large area a lot quicker. I like that they are double-ended. It makes it so much easier when you are working on a project instead of having to search for the matching color in a different tip. So those I think would be at the top of my list, along with the essentials pack of just the black and white in the different tip sizes. I think those are great to have because I use those the most, and it tends to run out quicker for me than any of the other colors. So having a full set of them is really handy, so that you don't have to keep buying the colored sets to get the neutral colors that you need for all the basics. For the neons, I liked that they included the larger tip as well as the fine tip options, but I will say they weren't as neon as I was expecting. Like the yellow, the green, and maybe the oranges, but I didn't feel like there was a true neon pink in the bunch. And the blues were just kind of like a normal neutral blue. They weren't as electric as I had expected from neons, but for the most part, I think they're on par with the other neons that other brands have to offer. The pastels I think were really, really pretty. I do wish that they had had the medium point options, but I think those are just sold separately. And then you'll get the full set of your pastel colors. I think they have a nice wide variety of those. They are those like dusty, muted almost colors, like this section over here. These are almost all a little bit more gray. But I did find that the yellow was almost as bright as some of the neons, and I think these are really pretty color-wise. I really, really liked those. The earth tones and skin tones, those are the ones with the little orange band at the bottom. I did really like this collection. That's these here. Although I did feel like they could have done a better job mixing the skin tones to provide a wider variety. I did look it up. They do have a separate skin tone bundle that does have those deeper skin tones, which is what I was concerned about. but I don't think that they quite mixed this one as well as they could. I do think they did a good job of getting those earthy tones in there, but I almost feel like there could have been some more green options, like a nice deep emerald. But other than that, I did like these. I did get the glitter options before I purchased any of the other sets, and I do really like them, but I find that sometimes they can get a little bit less opaque than the other colors, and so you might have to just do either a layer of one of the regular colors or do multiple layers of these, just depending on the look that you're going for. They can kind of almost take on that like silvery sheen from the sparkles that are in them, but overall they are really, really pretty, and I like them a lot. I think the ones in the Essentials collection are a little bit more solid because they have a little bit less shimmer and they're more metallic. So if you want a true metallic silver and metallic gold, the Essentials collection is the one that I would recommend for that, versus using the silver and gold that come in the glitter bundle. Overall, I am really pleased with these. These are the colors that are in the Essentials bundle. I just tested on a scrap from one of my tests for my file club earlier this year. But I think they give you a nice variety, and they're not cheap. They're like $30 some a pack, but I do think that's a good price for the quality that you're getting. They do seem like they will last a while. You can use them on a lot of projects. They are pretty opaque, so you only really have to use one coat, unless you're working with something like MDF where it does tend to suck up those lighter colors, and then you might have to do a second coat. But overall, I'm really, really pleased with these markers. I will link all of the collections that I personally bought in the description box, and I would recommend these. Honestly, for the black and the white alone, I'd say they're better than the Posca pens, and I have been a huge fan of Posca for years. I used to use those exclusively when I did resin work. I still think that Posca is wonderful, but I do think that these might have a little bit more long-lasting, I don't want to say juice, that's such a gross word to use, but like the ink seems to go further, whereas the Posca pens can kind of tend to dry out a little bit more. I do think that they are on par with the extra fine tip Posca markers in terms of being able to get into those small spaces. While Posca has a really great selection, there are so many more colors available from Tooli-Art. So if you're looking for a wide variety at a reasonable price, I think these are a really good option, especially for other laser makers who are looking to get into more hand-painted, more detailed items. All right, thanks for watching. I hope this helped.